legendary songwriting partnership of John Lennon and Paul McCartney lay a subtle but persistent rivalry. Though they worked closely as the creative force behind most of the Beatles' iconic catalog, both artists were constantly pushing themselves and each other to go further, to write better, to leave a stronger mark. In the band's early days, they would often write together at Paul's childhood home on Forthlin Road in Allerton, sharing ideas and building songs side by side. But as the 1960s progressed and artistic differences grew, their process evolved. They began composing separately, bringing finished or near-finished songs to one another for input or refinement. Despite this shift in approach, every song written during their time with the band continued to carry the joint credit of Lennon-McCartney, a deal they had agreed upon long before fame found them. One well-known example of this collaboration is A Hard Day's Night. John once noted that Paul sang the bridge simply because John couldn't hit the high notes required for that section. But beyond these practical decisions, a creative rivalry simmered. Paul later reflected, in a 2018 interview, that while they never openly discussed it at the time, both he and John eventually acknowledged that they were competing. He imagined John hearing one of his strong compositions and immediately feeling the need to come up with something better. Paul admitted he felt the same. When John wrote something brilliant like Strawberry Fields Forever, he felt compelled to respond with Penny Lane, each song drawing from their personal memories of Liverpool. When asked if John had ever praised his songwriting, Paul could only recall one instance. He believed it happened during the Revolver era, when John quietly told him he really liked Here, There, and Everywhere. That brief comment meant so much to Paul that he still remembered it vividly, even if he found it a bit silly that he held onto it for so long. In contrast, Paul felt he was more open with his compliments toward John's writing, though he admitted it was often easier to express them after a drink or two loosened the mood. Despite the friendly rivalry, their creative bond remained strong. Still, one writer suggested that a specific song may have permanently shifted the dynamic between them. In John and Paul, A Love Story in Songs, author Ian Leslie pointed to Yesterday, written by Paul and released in 1965, as the moment when the balance changed. Until then, the two had operated as equals. But Yesterday wasn't just a massive hit. It became the most covered Beatles song in history. Paul even performed it solo on stage, a move that may have stirred insecurities in John. The song appeared on the Help album and was later released as a single in the United States. A tender, melancholic reflection on love and loss, Yesterday struck a deep emotional chord with listeners and was eventually voted the greatest song of the 20th century in a 1999 BBC poll. Paul has shared that the melody for Yesterday came to him in a dream sometime in 1964. He remembered waking up in a small flat above a house with a piano near his bed and finding the entire tune already in his head. Because it sounded so complete and reminiscent of jazz standards his father used to play, Paul worried that he might have subconsciously borrowed it. To be sure, he played it for friends and music industry colleagues over the course of several weeks, asking if anyone recognized it. He later said it felt like reporting a lost item to the police. If no one claimed it, he figured, it must be his. Once he felt confident the tune was original, the song was given the working title Scrambled Eggs, while he and John searched for the right lyrics. According to John, the song lingered for months in their sessions. Every time they sat down to write, Yesterday would come up again, but it remained unfinished until they finally completed it together.